You hear my children in the background. Well, hello. Just getting set up here. It's a couple minutes past 6, and I'm hoping that folks will hop on. If not, that's okay too. I'm just going to talk, show you some stuff. So before I get started here, I just wanted to let you know who I am, why I'm doing this, and then I'm going to go over just a list of topics that I'm hoping to cover, and then I'll be watching the comments as best I can to see if you guys have any questions that I might be able to answer. And even if I can't answer it, the people in our group are just absolutely knowledgeable. Collectively, we probably know everything there is to know. So feel free to pipe in, folks who are hopping on to help. Oh, and a disclaimer right at the get-go here is that I have lots of kids, and they are currently unsupervised. So if they pop in, if a cat comes across the screen, we could all just, accept that's what happens, huh? Okay, so I'm so excited to see people hopping on, and my goal here is just to make connections, to be an encouragement, to answer questions. Lots of times, we're referring folks to the website and we're answering comments, and it's just sometimes nice to connect a face with, the replies, and it's a lot easier to talk to a person sometimes. And although one of my favorite things to do is info sessions, we can't be everywhere all the time. So I'm just so excited that I see people hopping on. Okay, so I just want to introduce myself. I'm Amanda, and you probably see me all over Facebook. But I am one of the co-founders and a leader in Granite State Home Educators. So I also am a leader in the Christian group in New Hampshire, Christian Home Educators of New Hampshire and Southern Maine. And so I have 4 children. My oldest is 18, and I have 14, 12, and 10. And my kids have always been home educated. They've never been in a different learning pathway, a different environment. And I feel very strongly about home education, and I get very excited talking about it. So I am in Rochester, and I just love connecting with new people and giving them encouragement. So you'll see me all over the place. So I also wanted to start out with saying go to our website, because pretty much everything I'm going to say and much more is going to be on our website. And that is gshenh.org. So that's short for Granite State Home Educators New Hampshire.org. So I'm going to reference that a couple times. All right. So I'm going to go over the topics that I'm just going to touch on during this live so that folks can kind of figure out from the beginning if I'm going to cover what they're wanting to know and if they need to, fast forward through the video. So I'm planning on talking about and just reading quickly the law, talk about that for a little bit. We're going to talk about where to start with curriculum, because it's a big, wide, million-dollar business out there. And so where do I start? We're going to talk about different styles and methods of homeschooling. I'm going to give you some pointers on where to start. Then we're going to talk about placement tools, affordability, things like multiple kids. How do you do homeschooling with multiple kids, different ages? Signs that curriculum is not working. We're going to touch on unschooling and spend a little bit more time on the subject of math, because that one, there's some things you need to know about homeschool math curriculum in particular. And then I'm going to add, after the live, my lists. Now, I've made over the years, okay, so I've been doing this a long time. So my oldest is 18. And so I've been making lists of popular curriculum choices over the years. And it's not exhaustive, right? It's not every single thing that's out there. But the way I have it divided up is I have a list that is Christian friendly. I have a curriculum list that is secular friendly. And then I have a list that is titled Special Needs Curriculum Choices. So I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to pin them. I'm going to add them in the comments afterwards. They're Google documents and they are mine, right? So I'm sharing them with you. You're welcome to download it. But if you share it anywhere, if you could please just give me credit for it, I would appreciate it, because I've actually gone to groups out in the Facebook world and my list has been there and it hasn't given me credit for it. So that was a bummer. So my curriculum lists are huge, and again, not exhaustive. And I'm going to talk about this at the end, but Christian curriculum, there is a spectrum of what Christians consider Christian curriculum. So there's a spectrum. There's also a spectrum of secular curriculum, what people consider secular. So we've gotten into, arguments sometimes in the Facebook group about the lists and everything. And I just want to encourage you, it's just, a jumping point. I don't know everything. I clearly don't know everything. But this has been created over years with input from all different types of home educators. So hopefully that's going to be helpful for you. And again, I'm going to put them in the comments at the end. And then I just want to give you some encouragement. Hopefully I'm going to be doing that all along the way. I have some stacks here of some of my favorite stuff that I'm going to show you. And when we talk about different types of curriculum, math, mastery versus spiral, unit studies, this sort of thing, hands-on learning, game schooling, I'm going to hold up some things so that you can get an example of what I'm talking about. Okay? All right. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the law. And so there are different ways to homeschool, and we want to be an encouragement to anyone who is a homeschooler, who does any type of learning at home here at Granite State Home Educators. So if you are in a different educational pathway, that's okay. We still want to be encouragement to you, give you ideas, options. So if you're, full-time VLAX and you're still hopping on here because you're considering making the jump to home education, if you are an EFA pathway homeschooler, and obviously we have everything in common when it comes to curriculum and choosing curriculum and what works and what's best for our kids, you're welcome. We're so happy you're here as well. Let's unify. Let's keep the main thing, and we're just happy that you're here. However, when I talk about the law and the requirements during this video, I'm going to be referring to the third educational pathway, home education. So this is a legal, defined educational pathway since 1990 in New Hampshire, and so it has its own set of rules, laws, statutes, regulations, all this good stuff that hopefully you're aware of. But so anything I talk about is going to be in regards to the home education pathway when it comes to these law requirements and subject requirements and that sort of thing. Okay? All right, so the first thing is that home education is defined in law under 193A. So home education defined. Again, anything I say is available on our website, also on the Department of Education website. So that's important to know. We're talking about third pathway, but we all have so much in common that let's just keep the main thing. All right. So there are absolutely a spectrum of styles of home education. So I'm going to talk about that for a little bit and give you some places to go to figure out what the heck am I even talking about. Because if you're new, which we've been just absolutely supporting so many young families lately, and it's been amazing. There are different methods, styles of homeschooling. And I'm going to name some of them and give you some super brief explanation of what that might look like. Okay, so when you see these terms used, you might have a better idea of what people are talking about. Okay, so there are different methods. The first one I have on my list is Charlotte Mason. So Charlotte Mason method is named after Charlotte Mason. Surprise, surprise. She was a British teacher. And this educational model is about educating the whole child. So it's about an atmosphere of education, modeling a love of learning and habits and replicating habits. So she calls it laying down the rails. So Charlotte Mason is a method of home education, involves a lot of nature. And that one people abbreviate with CM. So Charlotte Mason method, people might write CM. I'm looking for a CM book on this or that. Okay, so you might hear the word twaddle if you go to a Charlotte Mason group or website. They don't believe in what they refer to as twaddle, which is any kind of book that is not in their guidelines and their viewpoint a good thing for your child to be reading. So again, I'm just laying out for you some examples here. There's Charlotte Mason. The next one is traditional, and this is just what it sounds like. This is recreating a schoolhouse, a school model in your home. So somebody who's a traditional homeschooler is going to have little desks. Everyone's going to have their own, little board, their own calculator, their own pencil case, and you will follow a schedule, typically very structured, that is very similar to a school environment. So that's traditional, when we call that either school at home or a traditional method or style. There's a classical model of education, and there's ladies all over the state who know way more about this than me. So I'm just going to touch upon this, that the classical model looks at the 3 stages of development. They call it the trivium, and it begins with memorization, then moves into analytical thinking, and then what they call the rhetoric stage. So the first 2 are kind of work together to help figure out the rhetoric stage, the last stage, where they work on expressing themselves through original thought. Okay, so that is definitely a very particular way of homeschooling. There's curriculum that is very specific. There's going to be Latin involved, friends. So there are lots of ladies that are just experts in that through classical conversations in the New England area. There's unit studies, which I'm going to hold up a couple of those for you. And that is when you pick one topic and you learn all the different subjects, but it all is surrounding that one topic. So it could be like sharks. My family's obsessed with sharks, right? So we're going to learn all there is to learn about sharks. Our copy work, our writing is going to be about sharks, the books we read, the audiobooks we listen to, anything having to do with sharks. So you can create a unit study like I do, but there are also products for sale that incorporate all these things surrounding one topic, and I'm going to show you some of those. There's unschooling, which again means different things to different people, but unschooling is child-led, is interest-led, and there's a spectrum of the radical, what they call radical unschoolers, which don't use any curriculum at all. And then there's almost unschoolers. I actually, when I take quizzes, fall in this category, just so you know, that I do fall into the unschooling category. So the last one I have is the method that most people I know fall under, and that is eclectic. And so eclectic homeschoolers are people who piece together different things about all different methods, things that they like. They piece together their curriculum choices. One might be a classical model. They might do a unit study sometimes. They might do all hands-on learning all summer and not touch a book, right? So the eclectic homeschooler, most people I know do this, and they sort of take what they like about different methods and curate their own program for each child. Okay, so most people are eclectic homeschoolers. So if you were listening to me talk about the other ones and you liked a little bits of different ones, that's probably what you fall under, is eclectic. This might be a little bit overwhelming, a little more work, because you have to sort of search out more options that fit the kid. But I love doing that. Obviously, I love talking about curriculum. I'm making a video about it. All right, so I see people are hopping on. Thank you. It's mostly my friends. Yay, you guys love me. I love you too. Actually, it's all my friends. But I wanted to, let's see here in my list. We talked about styles and methods. Those are just a few, right? You can, and again, this is on our website, but you can type in homeschool styles quiz, and lots of options will come up. So there are quizzes out there that you can just answer basic questions, and it will spit out to you top number 1 method that we think you fit into, number 2, and number 3. And so when I said that this is the one I fall under is unschooling, every quiz I ever take, this is the number 1 that I fall under is unschooling. So take those quizzes just because they're fun, and we can figure out, oh, well, I never knew that I would have been, a good fit for a classical model. So we have some on our website. There's also, again, just Google it, type in homeschool style quizzes. Other things where to start is ask other home educators what they love or even what they don't love. Because we all have our favorites. We all have things that don't work. And so a really great way to get started is to start asking other homeschoolers what they use. You can go to a tried and true resource for everyone that has ever homeschooled in New Hampshire is Kathy Duffy Reviews. She has an actual paper book, and there's old copies still floating around, but it's updated regularly. She has put together reviews of pretty much every curriculum you could think of. Very transparent, open, and honest reviews of how things work, so that you can actually just look up different curriculum and what they're about. The other thing is look at samples on curriculum provider companies' websites. So every provider is going to have free placement tools. They're going to have samples of their curriculum that you can look at, that you can print off and maybe do a lesson with your child to see if it's a good fit. They also have their scope and sequence listed for whatever product that you're looking at. Again, so this is a business, guys, right? This is a multi-million-dollar business that has just grown and grown and grown and is still growing. So this is a business, and they are trying to market their program, their curriculum to you. So know that. But it really is great to look at the samples that are free for you to download on their websites. Another way to get started in this sea of curriculum is to go to things like the curriculum flip through that we did in the last couple weeks, where we had amazing moms come with all their favorite curriculum and a couple of things they didn't like, and just no pressure. It was all about connections and community, and folks just were able to flip through and get their hands on things that were really working for families and ask questions. And so that was a lovely time, and I really think we're going to do that again. Let's make that a regular thing, because it was just a resounding success. It was really a fun time, and it was really helpful for the community. So go, check out things like that. Check our event section for things like that. There are used curriculum sales. So there used to be one gigantor one over here on the Seacoast, but now there are smaller ones in little pockets, across the state. So check our event section. There's one coming up in, I saw Abby was on here earlier. We have this in our event section, but there's one near me coming up soon. Check that out. I think they still have room for, people to sell their stuff. But those are great ways, even if you're not buying anything. Well, if you do go to it, have a budget in mind because you want all the things. But those are great ways to flip through and get your hands on things, to actually look at the different scope and sequence, whether it's a good fit or not. So you can always go to our website. Again, anything I say is going to be over on our website, gshenh.org. And you can also sign up for our newsletter. Okay, so that is a good place to start, especially if you're overwhelmed, is to look at styles and methods, take a quiz, right? Look at samples, Kathy Duffy reviews, go to events, and then go to our events section and look for used curriculum sales and connections events to get together to talk about this stuff. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to mention is placement tools. I did talk about this, right? But every curriculum, particularly for math and language arts, is going to have a free placement tool. Okay, so you can go to their website, teachingtextbooks.com or whatever it is, and you can sit with your child and answer the questions, and it will spit out which level, which product, right, your child would be placed in for their particular curriculum. Now, there's lots of new people, so I just wanted to touch on this, that there is no Common Core in homeschool curriculum, right? So there's no standards or guidelines for what needs to be taught in a certain level or grade. There's no such thing as grade level in homeschooling. So the products might say level or have different names like just geometry 1 and 2 instead of grade, 9 or grade 10. Because there's no such thing as grade level in homeschooling. And so there's no continuity between companies or curriculum either. So inserting opinion here, Common Core exists in the public school model. Okay, that's a fact. It does not exist, it does not need to exist in the homeschool world because to me, that's not how human brains work. We don't categorize this is what you learn at this certain age and this is what you learn at this certain age. I don't think that brains work that way. And so human learning is really, different for every one of us and for our children. So there's no such thing as Common Core. So if you're looking at, say, math curriculum, one curriculum might place your student in, say, level 2 and cover a certain amount, different topics for math 2. That does not translate to a different curriculum provider, even if it says level 2. If it's a different curriculum, it's a whole different business, it's a whole different company, whole different scope and sequence. Okay? So there's no continuity between grade levels. There's no Common Core. So does this make sense? That these are products that you have to do the placement tools, and your child may place in level 2 in math and level 6 in language arts from the very same company for two products that the company sells. Okay, so this is the beauty of it. Why I feel so passionate about home education is that we get to tailor our curriculum choices, if you even choose curriculum. We get to tailor our choices to the child. Okay, so there's no continuity when you're choosing. So no Common Core. These are businesses, right? So they're trying to get your money. Another thing I wanted to touch on was the word accredited. So we have lots of folks, especially, new folks, if they have older kids they're pulling, saying that they want an accredited curriculum. And so accredited is a made-up thing. It's a value-added term that businesses, curriculum companies, are using to add value to whatever they're selling. Okay, because in the home education world, particularly in grades 8 and under, there's no such thing as accredited. You don't need anything accredited. In high school, I guess you might if you're, definitely returning to public school. That's a whole different beast, though. But there's no such thing as accredited. It's not necessary. It's not needed. So you don't need an accredited program. We have the freedom as home educators in New Hampshire to choose, and we don't have to choose, anything that is accredited. It's a non-thing. It's a what? What is it called? A nothing burger. Okay, so we don't need to worry about accreditation. It says slow connection, so I'm hoping that I'm not cutting out on you. Okay, so we talked about placement tools, samples, scope and sequence, Common Core, that there's no continuity between products, so different companies, a level 2 in math and the Good and the Beautiful is not going to be the same as grade 2 in teaching textbooks. Okay, they're not the same. Okay, great, thank you. So not the same. So this means more work for you, but again, free placement tools, and it will walk you through, like if your child is almost in the next one, and then you have to decide, I'm going to look at the scope and sequence for the level beforehand to see, did we cover all that already? Is that something they already know? Is it worth repeating before I go to the next one, or should we just jump into the next one because we're almost there? Again, that's the beauty of it, is that you have the right to choose where you want to place your child ultimately. So these are tools in the toolbox, right? But you ultimately decide. So that is my point number 5. The next point I wanted to talk about was affordability. And again, on our website, we have over 100. We have just so many free resources. So you could do this for free. Home education does not cost a lot of money. You could have a library card from, your local library or from a different town and home educate. It does not take a lot of money. And so we have, again, free resources on our website. Let me just find my page here. But I wanted to give you some pointers about how to make home education more affordable. So I mentioned before about used curriculum sales, so keep an eye out for those, and you've got to travel for those, right? Because if it's an hour away, you're going to have to travel to the ones that are happening, or even better, plan one in your area if there isn't one. That's a whole other video, though, isn't it? But I just wanted to give some encouragement that you can buy used. You don't need a brand new, very expensive thing. Okay? So buy used. So there are curriculum-specific Facebook groups. Okay? So like the Good and the Beautiful users group. There's a Good and the Beautiful secular users group. There's a buy, sell, trade. So it'll say BST, buy, sell, trade, master books, or Oak Meadow, or whatever the curriculum is. So look on Facebook, type in whatever curriculum you're interested in. Write Shop. Maybe there's a Write Shop buy, sell, trade group. Okay, so type in Write Shop used or Write Shop buy, sell, trade, and up might come a group that folks go there specifically to buy, sell, and trade that particular curriculum. There's a Life of Fred group, which actually I'm going to talk about and hold up for you when we talk about math. There's curriculum marketplace groups. There's obviously eBay. Some of my favorite places for used are Thrift Books, Abe Books, Goodwill, and Savers. We have at our home hundreds and hundreds of books, and we buy them used at steep discounts. So we watch for when the sales are at places like Savers and Goodwill. There's also an absolutely enormous used bookstore in Burlington, Massachusetts that is absolutely worth the trip. There used to be one in Peabody, and they shut down, and I cried. No, I didn't cry, but it was sad. It's called Used Book Superstore, and it's amazing. It's like Goodwill with a different, this color sticker is on sale this week, but it's just books, and it's separated by subject and age, and it's just wonderful. So highly recommend Used Book Superstore in Burlington, and then you can go to the mall after because it's right near Burlington Mall. You can also, obviously I said use your library, but you can buy a PDF version of curriculum, and that's going to be much cheaper than actually buying the brand new consumable like workbooks and things. You can print it off if you have one of those super duper printers, or your friend does, that like barely ever needs ink. Watch for sales on these curriculum providers. So sign up for the email lists of curriculum providers that you like, that you're interested in. And this is one thing that I do all the time, even at like Kohl's or, Ulta or wherever, is I go and put things in my cart. Oriental Trading is like the best for this. Put things in your cart. Oh, this is a good Christmas time thing to do as well. I'm terrible. But you put things in your cart that you're interested in and then let it sit. Let it sit in your cart. Because if you're on their email address, their email list, they'll get a notification and then send you a coupon. Because they want you to buy what's in that cart. So they will send you a coupon that's like, hey, we miss you. Oriental Trading sends me $15 gift cards like every 3 months. So that's a trick, is to add things into your cart and see if they offer you a discount code. One thing that your acknowledgement letter is useful for, so I say this in my info sessions, your acknowledgement letter that you receive from either your superintendent's office, your participating agency, or the DOE, that paper, keep the original one in a safe place for your whole home education program, but make a copy of it and bring that with you in your purse, because that is your proof of home education, and you can get teacher discounts with that. That's your proof of being a teacher. So at places at like Michael's, Barnes & Noble, even on Thrift Books, they'll give you a good discount for that. They ask you to just send a screenshot of it. That acknowledgement letter serves as your proof. So that's why it needs to be right as well. Trying not to get into the info session information. But that's good for teacher discounts. We have a list on our website of all the different places, and there's probably more, but it's a good list of where you can get teacher discounts using your acknowledgement letter. So that's a way to make it more affordable as well. There's a huge curriculum marketplace on Facebook. So it's just a generic homeschool curriculum marketplace that is gigantor, but then you got to think about shipping and that stuff too. That adds a significant cost depending on where they are. Same thing with eBay. But I highly recommend Rainbow Resource. They run sales all the time. So they're a company that sells multiple curriculum and supplies and all that good stuff too, but they run sales frequently. And they'll send you a gigantor, a gigantor catalog of all their good stuff. It's like this big. We don't need everything, guys. I think I do, but I'm like, I don't need that. But Rainbow Resource is fantastic for you to go to their website and just snoop, type in, look at all the math curriculum, and then it'll have all these different providers, these different businesses. So where can we find the info session video you mentioned? Okay, so I actually was talking about the in-person info session I did last week. Or was that this week? What day is it? It's Sunday. It was this week that I did in Somersworth. And I don't have any slated right now. I was trying to get in touch with somebody up in Conway. So if you have a contact at the library in Conway, please get in contact with me, because I'm trying to get up there to do an info session. I did make a video. I think it's not up anymore. That goes over the law requirements, portfolio, year-end assessments, that sort of thing. It might still be up in the group. So scroll through the group and see if you can find that. It was a training video for friends here who wanted to start doing info sessions at their local libraries. So it was actually a training one, but it was still the same information, just with tips about how to do it. So that is my affordability tips and tricks here. Always, ask your friends if there's things that they want to pass on, because that's the nature of it, is things don't work. And then, we've only used the first, 10 pages. The rest of the workbook is just fine. And you might be looking for that workbook. So definitely crowdsource among each other. Same, in the group, you're welcome to post, hey, I'm looking for we have a in search of post that you can post under if you're looking for something in particular. But all these are ways to make this more affordable. Again, it does not take big bucks to home educate, especially in New Hampshire. We have so many resources and such a great community. So the other way that you can make it more affordable is if you want to apply for the Education Tax Credit Scholarship. So this is confusing, and I could do a whole video just about this, but there is an income eligibility scholarship in New Hampshire. And this is a tax credit program that's a fundraised program. So businesses, people donate to this fund in exchange for a tax credit. And it has income guidelines, okay? And it's for low-income families. You can go to the website and look at Education Tax Credit Scholarship. Okay, so I'm going to tread lightly here that the organization that oversees the entire Education Tax Credit Scholarship Program is also the same organization that oversees the 4th new educational pathway. Okay, so they oversee the EFA. And it's very confusing because there are 2 different funding sources. I'm just going to say this. If you want to stay in the home education pathway, okay, so 193A with our rights and rules and statutes since 1990, right? If you want to stay 3rd pathway, you can apply for this scholarship, Education Tax Credit Scholarship, and still stay a home educator. Okay, it doesn't affect your pathway status if you apply for the ETC scholarship. Okay, so when I say ETC, I mean Education Tax Credit Scholarship. Okay, what makes it super confusing is that the organization that oversees it is the Children's Scholarship Fund. Okay, so Children's Scholarship Fund oversees both funding, right? So one of them is taxpayer funded, is the EFA 4th pathway. The other one is the pre-existing, right, before the 4th pathway, the ETC scholarship. Okay, so you can apply for that. Look on the Children's Scholarship Fund website for information about the Education Tax Credit Scholarship, that you can stay in the 3rd home education pathway if you qualify. Okay, so there's, steps and guidelines to follow for that. Check out Children's Scholarship Fund website for the ETC scholarship. And actually on the Department of Education, under home education, there's information there as well. All right, so that is my spiel on affordability. And if you have anything to add, please pop it in the comments. I mean, I don't know everything, and I look to you for your wealth of information. So please, comment if you have more resources. If I missed something, by all means. Okay. So I just gave you lots of ways to make it affordable. The next thing I want to talk about is multiple kids. And I have multiple kids that I have 3 really close together. So we do this. So I'm no expert, in this in particular, but this is something that affects me directly. This is what we do in my house. So I want to give you some examples. So I told you I have an 18-year-old. He's, a whole different ballpark. But my kids who are 14, 12, and 10 are very close together, right? And so I'm of the mind that the curriculum I do choose, I want them to be able to all do it together as much as possible. Okay, so what I do in my homeschool is that I pick math and language arts for each child. So they're all different levels for those things. And then anything else we do all together as a family. So history, we do all together. Art, we do all together. Science, we do all together. Okay, so that is a way, if you have multiple children, try to combine subjects so that you do all at the same time. And so there's a specific method, a unit study that works well for this. And so I'm actually going to show you some unit studies of what these look like. And I just want to be as always, totally upfront and transparent that I am a religious home educator. So the products that I use could be religious, could be Christian. But Granite State Home Educators, myself, we support you. We support every belief system. I mean, there's no judgment from me. So I just want you to know that I could be holding up something that looks good, but it might not be a good fit for you, okay? Or it might be a good fit, but either way, I just want to be transparent about that. So I have for you some unit studies, okay? So lots of us use The Good and the Beautiful, and so they have science unit studies. They have one that's free, marine biology, I believe it's free for a download, but it is typically, this one isn't The Good and the Beautiful. This is a campfire curriculum. So this is a professional chef, and actually a dear friend passed this on to me. Professional chef unit study, and see how it says elementary recommended 3rd through 5th. So it's made for multiple ages. Okay, and there are curriculum that are actually made for this, things like Heart of Dakota. What's the other one I'm thinking of? It'll come to me. But there's multiple ages. But this unit study is for multiple ages at one time. And so it will tell you the different topics, activities, all these things. And then it'll give you layers. Like if your kid is 3rd grade, these are the things you can do. If your kid is 4th grade, look at this level. Or 5th, look at this level, right? And this does have grade level on it. So this is an example. So here is an example of what a unit study, just some of an overview here page looks like. So it's multiple ages all at once. Let me just go out of screen here to find the one that I was looking for here. See if I still have it. And I don't. Huzzah. So the other one that I wanted to show you was The Good and Beautiful science unit study. So they have multiple ones available. This one is campfire curriculum that I just showed up. There's Amanda Bennett unit studies. But I did want to show you one that I made myself. And so again, I am not a textbook type person. Okay, I'm going to hold you up a textbook and see, so you can see what I mean by that. But my kids love adventure, and so I decided, let's learn about pirates. They were so excited to learn about pirates. So you can pick, again, because we have freedom under the law. Okay, it doesn't tell us the how or when or anything like that of what it looks like to learn about these subjects. So you have the freedom to do like what I'm going to show you. Okay, so this is a book on knives, swords, and daggers. That's what I'm talking about. And then here's just pirate books for all different ages. Like this little one is a little look and find for little ones. And then these ones are for older kids, right? But I have Life of a Pirate. And then I go to Used Book Superstore or the thrift stores and find books like this. Right? That, oh, looks like somebody took a bite out of that. And then you can also find really cool stuff like this. Like, look at this. Can you see it, or is it backwards? I'm really bad at this, guys. I'm trying. A puzzling pair of Cape Cod pirates and other stories. What? So this is, like, you could read this together for read aloud. These are real stories of Cape Cod pirates, guys. I mean, how stinking fun is that? I want to know about Hannah Rebecca Burgess, the navigator. How fun is this? I'm sorry. I'm really bad at this, Mary Kate. I'm trying. So stuff like this, look, Blackbeard, and then we watch documentaries about them. If you do online learning, YouTube, there's stuff like that that you can add. So we do books like this and what would be considered a unit study instead of actually purchasing a whole curriculum, like purchasing a thing to do and learn about that. I mean, Mary Kate, I think I'm funny. I say that at the info sessions. I'm cracking jokes. I think I'm funny. So yes, we have a topic that my kids are interested in, and then we just dive into it. We do all the things. We visit the museums. We look at the artwork. We craft, we dress up as pirates. We have pirate gear. Okay, guys. We do, target practice outside. We talk about cannons and, all this really cool stuff. So think outside of the box curriculum, because you don't need to purchase a big expensive thing. Like, those are books you could get at the library. I like to grow our library, our home library, and I'm cheap. So I like yard sales as well. But so unit studies are one way that you can work with multiple children at the same time. My favorite curriculum that's unit studies is for younger kids. It's called, it's 5 in a row, FIAR. So it's abbreviated FIAR, 5 in a row. And they make a before 5 in a row, and they make an after 5 in a row, and 5 in a row. And so this product is Christian, but it's a hint. So you could probably skip that part if you don't like it, if you're agreeable to that. Again, no judgment, but this is one of my favorites because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You read the same, when they're young, the same beautiful classic children's book 5 days in a row, and the curriculum has all these different things you can choose from. So a sociology, talking about what the, lawmaker was at that time in history, in the story, the social, situation during that time. They have a craft. They have a recipe. They have, about the illustrations, who the illustrator was, and a little, activity on the illustrator from that book. So it's a unit study on a classic children's book, and it's all right there for you laid out, and you can choose different things for different kids, right? So multiple kids at one time. So one kid might be doing just a coloring page, and you're just trying to keep them alive. I mean, let's be honest. You're just trying to keep them alive. And then while you're working with the other one, trying to spell out, certain things, or working on their handwriting, or doing the craft and using scissors, while your older kid might be reading one of the books in the book list they give for additional information, and then writing a book report on it. Okay? So that's what is helpful for multiple kids, is to look at a unit study, doing one topic, all kids at the same time. Okay, so that was multiple kids. When my kids were young, we had stations in our house. Okay, so we had the Play-Doh station, we had the reading books station, we had the coloring station. Okay, and we would rotate. And this is actually, if you don't have a designated space, which most of us don't, other than mine's this gigantor table we've had forever that's older than me. But if you don't have a designated room, like a fancy schmancy thing, rotate areas with your children so that they become familiar with, this is the read aloud couch, right? Where we're transitioning kids. It's now time for read aloud. So go to the read aloud couch, and they all run over, right? So transition to different areas of your home, especially when it comes nice out. Messy play outside is the best. So we had little stations that we would take, sort of brain breaks. We would also do little midline crossing exercises, stuff like balance things for breaks. Then we would shift to a game at the table, and then we would try a little bit of, academic stuff, writing, that sort of thing. So we would shift different areas. So with multiple kids, that helps as well, to have things that are just for school time. Okay, so they only have access to that Play-Doh when it's time. So that's motivating to them, to the littler ones, like, ooh, or this is a good one too. When you have multiple kids, they have their own special box that is only for school time. So they have something very special, highly motivating for them to do that they picked out themselves, that maybe Grammy bought for them special to do for a craft. That's their box that it's only at this certain time. And you give them one of those foam clocks from the Dollar Tree and you put what time they need to match up with the clock on the wall. Look, at that time when this matches that, that's when you get to get your Grammy box out. I mean, these are all ways that you can work with multiple children to keep them occupied while you have to work with the older kids. So doing things all together, making it their own, using stations throughout your home with different topics or curriculum choices in different areas. These are all ways to work with multiple kids at the same time, but unit studies is one of my favorite ways, or combining subjects, like I said, what we do at our house. So any thoughts or questions about that? Because the next thing I wanted to touch on, I know I'm going really fast, but I don't want to be on here for 2 hours because I can talk forever. You guys know me. The next thing is signs it's not working and what to do. Okay, so this is why we don't want you right out the get-go to buy a $600 really expensive full grade level from a Becca or a whole Oak Meadow curriculum, like the whole shebang, shaboodle package, because that might not work. Oh no. And there you've spent your, $600 on it. Don't do that. We want to encourage you not to do that. A lot of us do that in the beginning because there's a comfort, there's a security in that. And if that's what you need to do, listen, we're all doing our best and we're here to support you. Okay, I'm not judging you. But I'm just trying to save you some money and give you some ideas too. So the signs that it is not working, it's okay. Because home educators, homeschoolers, we switch curriculum all the time. So even if, you bought this expensive thing, just sell it. If it's not working and you only made it halfway through, give it away. You don't have to finish curriculum that's not working. Make any curriculum. Okay, so anything I mention here, curriculum options, and when I give you my lists, make it work for you. Okay, if you spent that $30 on that curriculum and that's all you had, make it work for you. Modify it. Accommodate. Cut pieces out. Add things in. Make any curriculum work for you. Okay? But signs it's not working are going to obviously be tears. Okay? Resistance. We don't want it to get to that point. Your child is going to give you signs that it's not a good fit for them. You might have your own signs because you might be like, oh, brother, let me tell you a story about this, okay? So my 14-year-old has significant special needs. He has a genetic difference. He has significant special needs, okay? So that's a whole other video. But we have to use specialized curriculum for him. So one math curriculum that I did all the research on, right? And everybody swore in all the groups that this is the one. This is it. This is the hands-on curriculum. You need manipulatives, you need hands-on learning, right? Multisensory, blah, 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 right? True, all true. And so this was the one. And I remember being so miffed because I bought the thing. Actually, you know what? That's not true. I waited until I found it in the free section at a huge sale that was like an hour away. Some lady, some saint out there put the whole dang thing in the free section. This actually happened at the curriculum sale too. 15 years later, some lady did it again. She put the whole curriculum and all the manipulatives, everything for this math program in the free section. What? What now? Wow. Okay, so this was, 15 years ago, right? I was overjoyed because this is one that everyone swore by. This is the one. This is the one that can teach any kid math, special needs. This is the one. It's Right Start Math, by the way. So I got this all free and was super pumped. Like, what? I just saved hundreds of dollars, right? So we try it. I crack that baby open. And pretty much within the first few days, I was like, oh, mercy, no. No. And I don't want to dissuade you again, because this might be a good fit for you. But for me, Right Start Math is a mastery-based, which we're going to talk about math, program mastery versus spiral. But this program is all those wonderful things. However, it is so teacher intensive. It's all games. The entire program is games. You learn math through games, okay? And so this was a very bad fit for me, being a type B personality, disorganized. There were game pieces everywhere, flying all over the place. Can't keep them all together, can't keep them all organized. It was too teacher intensive. I hate board games. Listen, this is part of how I learned. My friends know this about me. Don't try to make me play a board game with you, because I hate them. I'm bad at them, does not compute. My brain does not accept board game rules. So I learned this from that curriculum choice that everyone swore up and down. This is the one, this is the holy grail, right, of curriculum from math for kids with special needs. It was way too teacher intensive. I had to know every single rule in and out for every single game and know where all those tiny pieces were. And I was like, no, stop with the Ziploc bags. I can't do it. So what did I do? I put it back in the free section. I gave it away because I couldn't do it. Okay, so that's an example of signs it was not working. Was with me. It didn't work for me, for my organizational style, my teaching, what I'm good at, what I'm gifted at. Okay, so it didn't work for me. That's a sign it's not working. Resistance, obviously, with your child. So if they're being disobedient, if they're being avoidant, if it's to the point of tears, we don't want to get to that point with them. Especially in the beginning, guys, we're learning how they learn. And there are online quizzes you can take that help you to sort of narrow down what type of learner you are, like visual, kinesthetic, like how do you learn best? And this is why I do videos like this too, because some of us learn better this way, conversational rather than in writing. That's what I said in the beginning, right? So there's quizzes you can take to figure out, what kind of learner your kid is, so that you can know, like I found out that I do not learn that way with Right Start Mathway, and it was not a good fit for me. So you can tell by resistance, right? Either they're not ready for that topic, for that work, or they're giving you signs like resistance, tears, avoidance. Well, it's going to look like acting up, probably, right? Being disobedient if things are not working. So if your kid is sitting there for a really long time to try to get through, one paragraph, that's probably, something you need to look at. Like, and you would ask questions. Hey, I see that it's taking you an hour and a half here to get through this one paragraph. Can you explain to me, let me know what's going on here? That's what you would say. I see that this is, a struggle for you. What's going on? Or you could say to a younger kid, hey, is this hard? Is this too hard? What makes it hard for you? Help me understand. I want to be able to help you. How could I explain it better? How could I do this a different way? Okay, so those are questions you can ask when they're giving you the signs that it's not working. So I wanted to talk about unschooling a little bit because, again, we have defined rights in home education, in statute, in rules, in law in New Hampshire. And so it doesn't tell us what it needs to look like, what your homeschool needs to look like. It has a list of subjects that needs to be covered, and that's in your entire home education program. Not every year. We don't have grade or age level requirements like some other surrounding states do. So you have so much freedom, and this is the main reason why I love home education, is that you have the freedom. Okay, so unschooling is a spectrum, okay, and there's people in our group that are way more knowledgeable than me, that are unschoolers and are just amazing. Okay, so maybe they'll pipe in. But unschooling is a spectrum of radical unschooling where they don't use any curriculum at all. No, like I've been holding up, no textbooky type learning things. It's all child-led, interest-led. That doesn't mean they wouldn't use whatever their kid wanted, but it's all child-led. But there are people who don't use curriculum at all. That is legal in New Hampshire, absolutely. And we have lots of folks who unschool radically in our group. And that spectrum goes all the way to, I'm part of a group called Almost Unschoolers. So it's folks who are like, want to use as little kind of traditional textbook type learning as possible and want to incorporate child-led interests as much as possible, have a learning rich environment so they have options. So unschooling, how would you keep track of that? Because I know this is probably something that person, I forget your name, but you wanted to know about unschooling. That how do you keep track of that when it comes for year-end assessments? If you're an unschooler, they're typically going to choose portfolio review for the year-end assessment. I know the most amazing unschooler friendly portfolio reviewer ever. So if you need that information, let me know. But you could keep track of everything you do, all your adventures, everything you're doing with photos. You can make a scrapbook for your portfolio. You can make a video. You could keep journals, that sort of thing, for your review. It doesn't have to be workbooks. So it doesn't have to be, because we have the freedom in New Hampshire, you don't have to use curriculum for everything. And I would suggest not using a curriculum for everything, because people look at the list of the subjects required and they're like, they ask us, oh, where do I find a curriculum on the history of the New Hampshire Constitution? And yeah, I mean, you could find that. There's a moose on the loose thing, right, that everybody always talks about. But instead, you could just go visit it and look at it. You could go to the State House. You could talk to legislators. You could talk about, the Constitution and role play some stuff. I mean, that's way more fun. That's where I go to, in my mind. I don't go to textbooks and curriculum for different subjects. Same thing with art and music. You might not need curriculum for that, right? Go and visit art. Go and listen to music instead of, looking for a curriculum in particular for those subjects. So unschooling, radical or not, some people are out, foraging mushrooms in the woods. Their kids are barefoot and just amazing in the creek all day and whatever. That is amazing. Go, do your thing. So unschooling, really, the main thing is how to keep track of it is what people ask us. And so that portfolio, again, in my info sessions, I talk about the portfolio, and that can be however you want it to be. It can be a milk crate full of papers. You rip one out in the beginning, rip one out in the end. It could be a thumb drive. It could be a scrapbook. It doesn't specify in the law what your portfolio needs to look like. It's largely according to your organizational style. Okay, so don't stress about a portfolio. But that's my little topic of unschooling. The next thing I want to touch on is math, okay? And I brought examples. What the heck happened to it? Well, I had a Saxon to show you. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm just bowing out here, some different types of math curriculum, okay? So again, you can go to our website and there's articles. It's free to make an account on our website. We don't share data, okay? So a lot of this is behind the resource wall. You have to have your email address. We don't share any data. We take privacy very seriously. So if you sign up for an account, it has to be approved and the whole thing. So do that if you haven't already. Let me just check if anyone has anything. Nope. Okay. There are two main types of math curriculum. Okay. Mastery and Spiral. Okay, so let's talk about this. There's an article about it on our website. So, Mastery math curriculum, and I'm going to give you some examples of curriculum choices that are Mastery. That style of curriculum is you learn a concept until you master it. You practice it until you master it before moving on to a new concept, okay? So let's take addition. You're going to practice basic addition until your kid knows basic addition. Like, drill it and kill it, man. Mastery until you master it. One concept at a time. Okay, some examples of math curriculum that are mastery based are Math UC, CTC Math, Math Mammoth, Singapore, and Right Start Math. Dun dun dun. So mastery, again, you have to think about, how does your child learn best? Is that going to absolutely kill their love of math to have to drill it and kill it, to get it and repeat over and over and over again until they totally master the concept? Or is that what's best for them, to build that confidence in that one thing, that one concept, before you move on to a new one? Right? So you have to figure this out about your child and how that works. The other type of curriculum is called spiral curriculum. And this is working on multiple concepts at the same time. So you learn a subject, so you learn addition, and then a different concept is introduced, like subtraction. And then you spiral back to the addition to review that before moving on to a new concept. So it's multiple review of multiple topics, spiraling back to different topics, that's the way you can remember it, for built-in review of multiple concepts at the same time. Okay, so that might look like on the same page of a workbook, you might have time, learning how to tell time, and money on the same page. Okay, so that is a spiral method of math, and I'm going to give you some examples of spiral are Saxon, Teaching Textbooks, BJU, Horizons, and Abeka. So I'm going to show you one of them that's totally different, and then show you what has been working for us, because we've tried like every math there ever is. Yes. So this is Life of Fred, and this is a totally different curriculum than any other math curriculum out there. And it's not going to be for everybody, but I just wanted to mention it. This is a concept-based series, and it is a story. Okay, so it is a funny, memorable, engaging story that introduces math concepts, and you start at the beginning. Really, no matter what elementary age they are, you always start at the beginning. I'm going to show you some just pictures. And then at the end of each really funny chapter are some questions. So it says your turn to play. Again, it's backwards, I'm sorry, but it'll say your turn to play, and then it will give questions that you ask after reading this together that really help you understand whether or not your child understands the concept. So this is a story of just math concepts. You'd have to add in drills and practice problems, right? And they make I think a separate book that has like tons and tons of practice. So this is a totally different math curriculum than anything else out there. And I'll tell you right now, if you join the Life of Fred group, there are people who swear and will die on the hill that this is a complete math curriculum. You don't need anything else, just this stories. And then there are other people that are like, no, this is just a supplement. And they will like throw down with you. They will throw down with you and fight with you over it. Missing spiral example. These are just like off the top of my head. Saxon, Teaching Textbooks. Oh, that's what it was, Teaching Textbooks. I did have, what did I do with it? I did have one to show you. I don't know what my kids do with it. I'll take a spin around and see if I can find where they put it to show you, because I have a lot of these things. So Teaching Textbooks is popular because it is a video-based. You can do online. We used to do just the disc, and it's grading, right? So you don't even have to actually grade it. They would just repeat the video if they didn't understand it. And again, that's another point, is you could use anything online. That still counts as curriculum. You know, you could use an online program as well. So that is the difference between Mastery and Spiral. And this is one of my favorite products. This is Math with Confidence. Okay, and so this only goes up to, I want to say, level 5. And this is the instructor's guide. Okay, so it's totally open and go, scripted. And it's actually both. It's mastery based, but it also incorporates a little bit of Spiral. So I really like this product, and we've been successful with it. This is a new one. So I wanted to show you, just for color, you know, what it looks like sake, even though it's backwards. It is not, you know, pages and pages of practice. There are multiple concepts at once, but it does spend a good amount of time on each concept before moving on. And it doesn't overwhelm the child with too much at once. Is Regina Kayla considered homeschooling or hybrid? Being homeschool, very strict curriculum, no room for supplement other units. You know what, Mary Kate, I'm so sorry that I can't help you with that. I've not heard of this. So if anyone here can pipe in, and I can certainly try to find out and circle back with you to find out what exactly it is that you're talking about. If it's like an online program, and if it's a like an eclectic, you know, thing that you piece together, or if it's a whole, you know, separate thing, like a whole school situation. So that is Math with Confidence. This has been the best one for us so far. We've tried Horizon, Saxon, Beast Academy, teaching textbooks. We've tried a lot. Right Start Math, Traditional Catholic, coming to Pelham next year, I believe. Oh, you know, Mary Kate, I know people who can help you, though. I know my lovely friends who are Catholic and know a lot about curriculum options that I can connect you with. So that is one of my favorites, is Math with Confidence. I showed you Life with Fred. I do want to show you some different things because I'm sort of winding down my time here. Because curriculum lists are the next thing, so I want to show you some things. So again, I would rather read with and have my kids read books like this to learn things rather than use a textbook. I think at that curriculum event it said, what do you like the least? And I wrote, any textbook. I just don't like textbooks. I feel like most of us don't learn that way. So I would rather, this says U.S. Supreme Court, Cartoon Nation. So I would rather use books like this. This is very like Schoolhouse Rocked, old school, but it explains things like that. This. I would rather use this. Quality books. Like, look at this book. 13 Buildings Children Should Know. So we have all kinds of books like this just laying around. And so if my kids, I spent with my oldest son, I mean, a good 6 to 8 months just on Egypt. He was absolutely obsessed. So we did all the things. I made a giant excavation for him. He still has them. He still has the little golden jars I had got from like Goodwill. He's excavated himself with the grid and the notebook and everything. And we read every single thing, every book I could get my hands on. And he was so afraid of mummies, particularly cat mummies. But these are just, I would much rather do things like this than a curriculum. And so here's some more examples of choices I would make. Like, look at how old this book is. Eating Fractions. I would look at, teach my kids. Here's the same book updated. See, I have 2. So I would get things like this, you know, for 25 cents at Goodwill and whatnot. And so this is a story. These are storybooks that are comic-like, that you can read, that explain what fractions are and give some practice. This is one of my favorite ways to practice handwriting. So this one, and again, those books I just showed you are not religious books. This one, some of them do have religion in them. So Draw Right Now, and then it has another company I'll show you, Drawn Right Through History. So this is Draw Right Now, and what I like about this is it has a whole series, but look. So it's the same part of your brain learning how to draw things and do handwriting. And so most kids, again, homeschoolers, we don't write nearly as much. So this is actually a good, like, I'm an old veteran, and this is a tip for you if you're new. Our children don't write to fill time like they do in a school setting, okay? So in a public school, they are forced to write. They are forced to write to fill time, right? So the teacher can help the kids who are not, up to speed, right? So they have to write all the time. It's a time filler. So they do it much, much, much more. So a lot of people panic about penmanship, but let's just be honest. We don't write as much. So this is a really fun way to practice handwriting. So each one has a topic. This one is from the farm, so it's all farm animals. But it's step-by-step drawing of different animals. But then it also has a very small section of print copy work. And you can buy, Handwriting Without Tears, which is one of my favorite handwriting curriculum. But you can buy little notebooks that have this exact thing. It's blank. It has a blank thing for them to make the picture and a little lines for them to copy this, right? So this is a great way to practice handwriting and drawing at the same time. This is the one, I think Draw Right Now is not Christian. This one is, okay, because it does have a creation one. But this one is Draw and Write Through History. And so this is, to me, the next level, because it actually is much more detailed, but it incorporates history. So this one is Invention, Exploration, and War, the 20th Century. So this is actually the last one in the series. I have more here. So look, this one is Pilgrims, Pirates, and Patriots. So we use this one along with our pirate one. Actually, I'll show you that one. Show you. And here's so Pilgrims, Pirates, and Patriots. So this one is, as you can tell, more involved drawing, right? Higher level, intermediate to advanced, right? Step by step still, but a lot more advanced, and it's cursive practice. Dun, dun, dun. Are you going to teach cursive or not? It's up to you. But look at this. Notice it's much more quality, because it's information about the picture they've drawn from history. So you're learning history and doing copy work and drawing, all with just one thing, and they're wicked cheap, which I love, okay? So those are things that I love. But for art, I run a little art co-op, and we just do video lessons, beginner video lessons together. But this is a high school level, but they make all different levels of art. So you could use a curriculum like that if you wanted. I did want to show you a few more things. One of my favorite writing is Write Shop. So there's Write Shop Junior, and this is really good for kids who struggle to write because it's laid out in absolutely fine detail, step by step. And I love that, particularly if your kid struggles with executive functioning, like planning ahead, having the actual end product in mind, like a research paper, and then the steps backwards are hard for them to figure out. This is an excellent program, Write Shop, and they have a junior one. I believe the junior one of them is secular and one of them is not. Okay, so know that. But then I wanted to show you, I still have some things I held on to from when I first started, okay? So I'm going to have to plug my phone in too. but I wanted to show you some sunlight. Okay, a whole other stack here, friends. I'm going to have to plug in. But I wanted to show you, I'm a hoarder, guys. I'm a hoarder. But I pass along things to people because, well, much to my husband's dismay, I will pick things up on the side of the road. Or if someone's like, hey, could you use this? I'm like, yes. I don't need to know what that is, but yes, I do need it. So anyway, I'm talking about things like when I say a textbook and that I hate textbooks. This is an example, okay? This is, I don't even know what this is. Somebody gave this to me. Fantastic. Look, it's a hardcover, like what you would find in a school. And you have to read. Look at all this reading. This one's colorful enough, right? That's pretty good. World Physical Geography. Glorious. Runkle Publishing. Okay, and I apparently have, look, welcome. I have the student activity workbook and the teacher's guide. So if you want this, no, I'm in Rochester. But this is an example of something that would not work for my family because it's boring, it's dry, and my kids are not going to sit and read something that dry. Again, but that works for some people, and if that works for you and you want that, call me. Oh, look what I found. This is old school, okay? Oh, look, friends, because I bought it at the old sale. Oh, good memories. So this is a teaching textbooks. Now they have an online program like Beast Academy does too. This is like outdated, right? Because I'm old. But here's the discs, okay? So you put the disc in, and the kid would watch the video. And if they didn't pass the quiz thing, they didn't answer correctly, they would have to re-watch it. Okay, so it's geometry. Look, here's the answer key and test bank for Geometry 2.0. And then this is, so teaching textbooks has all the way through for a whole student program. Okay, so this looks like a textbook, doesn't it? How different is something like this than reading about geometry, okay, and how you use it in the real world, right? So these are some examples of textbooks. And I just wanted to show you, actually, I'm going to open up the front and show you what I mean by scope and sequence. There is a table of contents in the beginning. If you go on their website, it will tell you the scope and sequence for each product, but right in the beginning. So this is very textbooky. What do I got here? Oh, another Math Confidence. So I want to show you a couple more things before I wrap up here, and then if you have any questions, please hop on, okay? But I use things like this. When I was teaching my kids about numbers, I had them use suction cup darts with a big one of these on the wall and shoot it and then tell me the number. And I had little scooter boards and I would fling them on the scooter board across the room to go get their dart back. I mean, that type of learning. But I also, one of my favorite things here is games. I'm learning through games. Again, not board games because I'm not good at that. But this is one of my favorite type of things, like Sum Swamp. But this is a big, like, it looks like it's a big plastic mat, and they roll these giant foam dice and have to find and then put the circle on the correct answer. So I love stuff like that. But what else? What else? So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. Oh, I want to show you a literature-based program. So Sunlight is a religious curriculum, and they market a program as secular that's the equivalent, but it's called Bookshark. So some people disagree that it's secular, and that's okay. Whatever your thing is fine with me. But I just wanted to show you, this is an old version, but the difference and what a scope and sequence, and that this curriculum actually gives you week by week. It's all laid out for you because there's so many. It's a literature based, so it has these living, what we call living books. It has, books that go along with this that you could find at a library or at Barnes and Noble. And so it lays out to you exactly what you need to teach from each book every day. And then the activity sheet, exactly what you need to do. And you can choose a 4-day or a 5-day schedule. So there are curriculums that lay it out, even in that much detail for you. And again, in the beginning, we usually start with things like that, that are already laid out for you until you find what works for you. Oh, look what I just found that was stuck in here. So look. So this is a book that says, I really, really, really like fossils. And then this is a book, my youngest is obsessed with Scooby-Doo. But this is a Scooby-Doo science book. Okay, so a science of electricity mystery. So it actually talks about and gives, it's like Magic School Bus, right? So you learn science, but it's a Scooby-Doo episode. So I think that's pretty much all I have. I want to touch on the curriculum list again. Can you get an acknowledgement letter at the kindergarten level to use for teacher discounts? No, because kindergarten isn't required. That's a great question. Kindergarten isn't required in New Hampshire. So you don't have an acknowledgement letter as a home educator. So what you could do is make a copy of, let's see, I'm trying to think. What did I do? I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I just made my own. We used to have a little card that we would send people. We would have them and just fill them out. Like you could literally make your own teacher card. That says you're a homeschooler. Again, this is not, it used to be not mainstream. Now it's more mainstream, so places aren't going to fight you about it as much. I mean, we used to have to fight for my 15% off day. So in kindergarten, that is a great question. You would have to find some other way of proof, and I personally would just make a card myself. I would just make something, print it out and laminate it, because you all know I have a laminator. Find a friend who has a laminator if you don't have one, Kelsey. I'm in Rochester. Okay, so last couple things are curriculum lists and encouragement, okay? So I've showed you a whole bunch of stuff. This is just like the tiniest fraction of what is out there, okay? And it's a business, right? So it's a millions and millions of dollar business. Check out our website, because way more than I'm sharing here. Come to events. Ask other people. Turning the limiter on now. Absolutely. Ask around. Ask people. We'd love to be an encouragement and let you know what we love and pass along things that didn't work. If it works for you, we want to support you. So I have curriculum lists that I'm going to add to the comments. Again, I said this before, but I'm going to put them in the comments. And I just want to ask that a couple of things. One, this has been a list that I've curated over the course of years and years and years through input from secular users, from Christian users, from special needs. And they're not exhaustive, right? It's not every curriculum out there, so there's going to be some missing. There might be some on there you disagree with, okay? Like if you're a secular user and, something's on there that is not to your liking, can you just, not use that? And that's fine with me, because there's a spectrum of what people consider Christian and what's morally, of value to them, and the decisions that parents make, I totally support. And the same thing with secular. There's a spectrum of what people consider secular. Like I consider Life of Fred secular, but I was educated by someone who said no, because there's a mention of him going to Sunday school in one of the books. So that's not purely secular, okay? So we're all learning, okay? These are my lists that I have spent a lot of time coming up with. I'm happy to share them with you. If you do share them anywhere, if you could just give me credit for it, because like I said earlier, they have shown up in spaces, without giving me credit for it, all over the internet. So that's interesting. But if you could just give me credit for it, you're welcome to save a copy of it. So I have a secular friendly list, right? Then I have a Christian friendly list, and then I have a special needs friendly list. Okay, and the special needs one has therapy curriculums for occupational therapy, different subjects, therapeutic curriculum. Okay, so that you can do some therapy stuff at home. So I'm going to link those in the comments afterwards, along with just a link to our website again, and probably a couple other things. So I don't see any questions about things that I covered. I'm just looking over my notes here to see if I missed anything that I scribbled down here. Portability. No, I think that's it. So make any curriculum work for you. You are not tied down to anything. And I just want to encourage you that everybody does this differently. It's a learning curve for all of us. And we are at Granite State Home Educators believe in home education. We believe in the family. We believe in parental rights. And we're just so excited when people start this journey. And we want to be an encouragement to you. So I'll be checking this. This will stay up in the group, I think, for 30 days, so people can rewatch and when they can hop on. But if you have any questions, if you need anything, please, I'll be checking the comments. If you want to add a comment or a question while you're watching, I will still be able to catch those. And then I think that's it. So this is the first one of some videos I'm going to be doing just to make connections and to give you support and encouragement. So that poll that I did, this was the #1 thing. I'm probably going to do portfolios next because that is a big question. And then definitely check out our events section because there's good stuff happening. And let me know if you want to get involved, if you want to be a helper, if you want to be a resource, because we need people in other cities to be doing info sessions and things like that. So I'm impressed with my children that they have not come up, bleeding or, hungry in this whole time. So this has been a win. I appreciate you guys so much, and I hope this was fun. It was fun for me as I yammer on forever, but I appreciate you guys so much, and you can do it. And please, please reach out if you need help. We're here to support you. Have a good night, guys.